What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumb ass. Like and subscribe. So, seems that Bungie is just, I mean, we all see Sony's PlayStation kind of crumbling, disintegrating, imploding, whatever destructive term you want to use is happening, you know. In slow motion, in regular motion, it's just happening, right? So, Bungie, what was his name, Pete Parsons or something? The CEO of Bungie said that to the rest of the people who are still at Bungie, that they held on to the right people. Paraphrasing, of course. But the sentiment is that the people they fired were not the right people, or the people they laid off, excuse me, because firing and laying off, as I understand it, is different. But that still doesn't change the sentiment. It still doesn't change the fact that all the people that were let go were, I guess, considered less than, according to this guy. But in the aftermath of the firings, the laying offs, excuse me, I keep making a mistake. Destiny 2 players have begun a mass refund of the last DLC, what is it called? I was gonna say the Shattered Glass or something. I forgot what it was called. The last something, whatever it's called. I can't remember. But they're doing a super mass refund of it in protest of the delay of said DLC and the delay of Marathon and the laying offs, the layoffs. And so I'm like, if you're a pony, I'm sorry. You know, this is bad news upon bad news upon bad news, you know. There hasn't been good news. Last video I said they can't manufacture good news, and it's kind of true. I made a few people laugh, and it was kind of a funny thing to say, but it's kind of true. And you shouldn't have to make good news. You should do things that make the news happen to be good, you know. When you have to manipulate the message in that way, I go back to Trump. Now, I am not staunchly against Trump. I use him as an example because, well, I'm not for him either. He's a special person. But I use him as an example because he's a perfect example in many instances, meaning he is a manipulative words type of person. You know, whether it's in business, usually in business, whether it's about his wealth or his perceived wealth, he has manipulated that for decades. You know, that's what he does. And it seems like Sony is doing that too. You know, when they double counted. Well, that was a mistake, honestly, but the manipulation wasn't the double count. That seemed to be a mistake, or was it? But the manipulation was they're changing the metric at which they have these accolades. So they say, oh, fastest selling game, Spider-Man, in one day. They never used that metric before. Why are they using it now? Well, you moving the goalposts every time. It's manipulation. They manipulate it to make it seem like they're good or whatever. And there comes a point, it comes to a point where you can't manipulate it anymore. You have to just do the work. You have to be better than the perception. No, that doesn't make any sense. But you can't fake the funk. You can't fake it till you make it. There comes a time where you need to be able to do the work, do good work, and not have to manipulate the message. You should be able to say, yo, we made a good game. Everybody loves the game. That's all you need to do. Of course, you're gonna, advertise and stuff. But when Sony does this, oh, fastest selling game, and they're trying to brag or whatever they're trying to do, it doesn't work. especially when the house is burning down around you and you're like, yay, this is the best. It's like, I mean, you can be in denial and you can say things, but people are not stupid. People are not as stupid as you think they are, Sony. And it's not, it's not a good look, obviously. And the solution is to do better, compete better. This whole time Sony was like, the fanboys really. It wasn't Sony, but the fanboys were saying, why don't you compete? I wish that Microsoft was better so they can compete, right? Blah, blah, blah. Sony wasn't saying that because Sony didn't want competition. Sony doesn't want competition. PlayStation doesn't want competition because then they have to work harder. They have to actually do some work in order to stay where they want to be. That's not going to happen now. They're going to move. The market will shift. It's already started. They've already lost. What was it? They were at 100 and something billion worth, Sony, and now they're lower at 70 something, was it? Or I don't know if it was that much, but they lost a lot of market share. Not market share. Let me take it back. They've lost a lot of I guess it's profit share or whatever. The wealth of their company has gone down. How about that? And it's really the fanboys, the Donkey Unicorns and the Ponies that are hurting Sony the most, because what has happened throughout all these years, they've been showboating and cheerleading and doing all these things to pump Sony up. Now Sony has this giant head. They can do no wrong. They're so good, right? They no errors, no quantum errors. They can do no wrong, and they believe that. They believed the hype. They drank the Kool-Aid. Sony believed it, and they felt that they didn't need to do anything extra. Let's just keep doing the same stuff we're doing forever and ever. We're number one. The fans love us. I mean, they can't stop us. There's no way. That's not the case. And they were definitely, they weren't proactive. They were chasing trends. They've been chasing trends for years, and nobody's really called them on it because the kind of lead and position that they gained in last generation, PS4 generation, gave them enough clout for them to kind of make a few mistakes without really affecting their stance, their position in the market. But now they have lost that Call of Duty advantage. They're not going to get anything special. So what motivation do players have to stay with PlayStation? Besides that they have a PlayStation 5 already. But if they have a PC, play it on PC, it's better, right? Or when Activision starts using that mesh shader magic, hello, we've already seen it in Alan Wake. Alan Wake performs better on every Xbox console, comparatively speaking, than PlayStation. I mean, PlayStation only has one SKU technically, but still, Xbox Series S performs better than the PlayStation 5, and the Xbox Series S performs better than the PlayStation 5 with the same settings. 30 frames per second settings. The Xbox Series S performs better than the PlayStation 5. Do you understand what I just said? Ponies and Donkey Unicorns, are you paying attention? Do you understand what I just said? How does the Xbox Series S perform better than the PlayStation 5? How is that possible? I'm an Xbox fan. I never thought that the Xbox Series S would perform better than the PlayStation 5 and any given Sunday or whatever. I was like, nah, fine. I know what the Xbox Series S is. I know what it is. There's no problem. But now, with this new mesh shader magic, I'm like, hold up. This is different now. This is like This is better than that primitive shading that the PlayStation 5 is doing. This is better than checkerboard rendering. Obviously, because it's killing, performance-wise, it's killing the PlayStation 5. I'm looking at the Digital Foundry graph, Xbox, steady 60 all the way. A few little micro bloops, down 1 frame. I think it may have gone down to 57 or something at one point. And the same performance dips are present in the PlayStation 5 version, but worse, obviously, because it's already at a disadvantage. It's already about 5, almost 10 frames lower, constantly. It rarely hits 60 on the PlayStation 5, and I'm like, and the thing about it is, I was in a Giant Bomb today, and Janet Cho, I think he's playing it on PlayStation 5. He's like, it's beautiful, it's this and that. A lot of people don't see it and don't realize it and don't know that the PlayStation 5 is not the best version to play. They're assuming that, but as Digital Foundry, as their findings come to light, and the PlayStation 5 is not the lead platform or the better platform, if you will. It's not even about lead platform anymore. It's about using each machine to its advantage, to the most of its abilities. And when that happens, guess what? Xbox shines. And Phil knew this. Phil Spencer knew this from the jump. He knew this, and that's why he sent out that email and said, yeah, we better on hardware, we better, blah, 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 blah. Reason why he said that, because it was true. Phil has not lied, quote unquote, lied. He's said some things that, they have had to change position on. But that's technically not a lie. That was their intention, but things happen, situations change, and you gotta change course. I mean, Sony basically lied. They said, yeah, we spending $1.2 billion to keep these people employed. Job security, yeah, we don't want no layoffs. And they literally laid off 100 people, close to, or maybe more. And I'm like, what happened to that 1.2 billion? Is Bungie just laughing all the way to the bank? Does Sony have anything to say about this? Can they say, excuse me, Bungie, we gave you $1.2 billion. Why are you laying off people? That's what I want to know. What's going on? Like, what is the conversation between Sony and Bungie right now? Because I'm pretty sure that Sony's pretty mad about the layoffs, because they paid for no layoffs. A lot of money for no layoffs. They paid a lot. Almost half of what they paid was for no layoffs, and they got layoffs. I'm like, what? And then the boss, the CEO, was like, yeah, we kept the good people. We kept the right people. Y'all got the right stuff, yeah. I'm like, what? Really? This is the really? Is everybody that comes under the Sony umbrella they're just blind? They're just like, we CEOs first and people second, or? I don't understand it. Like, do they not know? Do they not have media training? Did he run that by the lawyers? I don't think he did, because they would have said, nah, you can't say that. That's bad. Don't say that. You see what you sent us? We kept the right. Don't say that in public. Don't take this email and burn it. I don't know how you burn emails, but burn it. Figure out a way how to burn it. Go to the studio. They got people who knows how to burn. Just burn it. Don't ever get a memory wipe. Don't even think about this, because this is a bad thing to say. He said it. He must have not ran it by anybody, because he's like, I'm the CEO. I know everything. Well, there's a big old backlash happening over at Bungie. PlayStation's falling apart. Look, I would have never thought that, Sony in the position that they were in. I knew that I knew that they were going down. I knew that they were going downhill. I knew that things were not going to get better for Sony, because they were unprepared for the changes in the industry. But I never knew that it was going to be this fast and this drastic and this dire. And I'm not doing doom and gloom. Now, Jeff Grubb today, he said, Sony's going to be fine. They're going to keep making those games that they make. They're bangers. They keep people buying PlayStation 5. And I'm like, sure, but he fails to realize that is a very unsustainable way of making games. Sean Layden said it. Jim Ryan knew it. He didn't say it, but he knows it. That's why he was trying to pivot to games as service, which failed miserably. They have always tried to make those type of games, and they have always failed. Why would you do 12 of them and figure out it might work? I mean, what kind of plan is that? It's like throw everything at the wall, see what sticks. That's the plan, really? How are you CEO? Well, he's not anymore. And people are like, oh, he has until March. He's still at the job. No, he's not. He's not at the job. Yoki Todoki to Maboki Boloki. That dude's at the job. I don't know his name, but it sounds like that. Yoki Totoki, Toki Laloki. He has a cool name. I ain't gonna front. I'm making fun of it, but I'm not really making fun of it. I'm like, he's got a kind of cool, it's like alliteration and rhymation. There's all kind of stuff happening in his name. But anyway, is Jim, okay, question. Here's the question for you guys to answer. Is Jim Ryan the worst CEO of modern gaming? I'm gonna say of all the gaming, of all the history of video games, is Jim Ryan the worst CEO? Some people are gonna say no. I'm gonna say yes, because the problem with saying it now is that we haven't seen the actual repercussions of his actions. We're seeing it happen in real time now. The layoffs, the firings of, Connie Booth, him getting fired. Let's just keep it real. Let's keep it a buck. He got fired. All of these different things happening right in the vicinity, all close together. It's not like, oh, it's happening. Oh, this has been planned for years. No, it's happening like this. Anyway, I'm sorry. This is worse than the ABK deal when wasn't going through and you just got to talk about it every day. But this is serious business. This is serious. This is a serious shift in the industry. I would say for the better, because Sony was not the best for the industry. They're a very selfish company. They weren't proactively growing. They were just wanting to nickel and dime and just make that money. And yes, companies need to make their money, but there's a problem when you are stifling other kind of parts of the industry creatively, or it's a free market. Let the consumers, us, dictate what is good and what is bad. Don't choke off the content to other platforms because you're scared of competition. It makes you look weak when you're doing all these things to hurt the competition instead of pumping yourself up or pushing yourself up higher because you are the best. Your machine is the best. Your place is best to play on your machine. But they didn't do that because they knew that their machine wasn't the best. So they bribed and they did all of these clauses in their contracts in order to keep the parity. That's what they call it. But basically it's like, oh, we have to keep Xbox basically neutered because it's way more powerful. They weren't using mesh shaders. All those games where PlayStation was better, they weren't using mesh shaders. They was using perimeter shaders. Now we see one game that uses mesh shaders. Oh snap! It's destroying the PlayStation. How does that happen? Because Remedy didn't get a check. They didn't get a check from Sony. People saying, oh, the whatchamacallit, the relationship between Remedy and Xbox is bad, blah blah blah. That's why they left, and blah blah blah. It's like. I think it was the smartest thing, the wisest thing for Xbox not to greenlight Alan Wake 2 when Remedy wanted to, because Remedy still needed to grow a little bit. They made Alan Wake American Nightmare, right? That was the DLC, and they wanted to make Alan Wake 2 right away. But if they did make Alan Wake 2 right away, it would not be the game that we have today, okay? It would not, because they went and made Control. They did a little thing with Crossfire X, which we don't talk about that. First they did Quantum Break. Quantum Break was the shift in Remedy's games. You look at Quantum Break, you look at the cinematic quality, you look at the character, facial animation, all those things, top notch. It was the beginning of the evolution of Remedy. And then they did Control. It was like, okay, further, this is better than Quantum Break. Let's go. Quantum Break's not a bad game, but Control was better. Let's go. And now they have Alan Wake. They learned from what they experienced and what they did on those two previous games. Without that experience of those two previous games, Alan Wake 2 wouldn't be as good as it is today, you know? So y'all should be thanking Microsoft for letting Remedy grow and get more experience and figure out what they can do in this industry. I mean, they're super creative, but they came up from Alan Wake and American Nightmare to Alan Wake 2, 2 full games, 2.5 full games. And they learned some stuff. But anyway, rambling. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below. This whole Bungie ordeal, I mean, I'm gonna keep my eyes out. You know, Jason Schreier keeps spitting stuff. Tom Henderson spitting some stuff too. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. I'll keep regurgitating it for y'all, giving my opinion and stuff. But let me know what y'all think about the whole Bungie situation, and also, you know, Remedy, Alan Wake 2 performing better on Xbox Series consoles than PlayStation. It's crazy. But I appreciate y'all, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Till the wait.